Rising and priming powerful beings. Shout out to you. I got a quick question for you. Is your lifestyle a coping mechanism, or is it truly the life that you want? Is the way that you're currently living something that you've been looking forward to, or has it just been something that you've been accustomed to, so you just let it be? So we're going to go deep today. All right. The question of the day is your lifestyle currently a coping mechanism, or are you actually creating a life that you want? The question is not, do you have everything that you want? That's not the question. The question is life the way you want it to be? Really? Not necessarily the way you say, oh, I kind of want it to be that way. Like, you've been saying that, but it's not really. By that, some people do things to escape. They don't really do things to reveal. So we're going to have a conversation that may be hard to have, but it's needed to have. Why? We don't want to live pseudo happy lives when we can actually be happy. We don't want to live pseudo healing lives when we can actually be healing. We don't want to put pseudo in front of anything. We don't want to make it fake when we can actually have the real thing. Some people, they go on vacation and it looks good with the pictures and the social media, but when they were in vacation, they were actually not even there, right? They were robbed by their phobia, anxiety, stress, depression. What am I really thinking about that? I was looking at a video online and it was just hilarious. She's like dancing and she had that fake filter face on. So she's over here dancing, but you see her, she crying. And it was just a filter. But you know, a lot of people feel like that inside. And I'm sure we all at some point in our lifetime, we went out to a club or a party because we just couldn't stand being in the house for anymore. It's just, I can't do it. But you know, you're over the club and partying scene, and you're at the club, you're dancing, but inside you really don't feel that well. Picture this being what most people are living through, which means they go to work and they're like, what's up, welcome. But inside they're like, so that's kind of the life that we are living collectively, but not all of the time. So what I'm saying is I'm not excluding myself from sometimes styling my life as a coping mechanism. However, I've decided to live my life consciously and live holistically. So whenever I recognize that, hey, is this lifestyle a coping mechanism or really what I want? So what do I mean? When we was in high school, middle school, we tried to be cool. And usually there was a group of people that determined what cool meant. They didn't really determine what cool meant. It was just Jedi mind tricks. And we wanted to be more like them. In efforts to be more like them, we started to buy things that they wore. We listened to stuff that they listened to. We went places that they went. And we were like, where are all of this coming from? They were not even coming up with it on their own. They were watching it from TV. Okay? So they're watching it from TV, and then they adopted that as their philosophy, and then you probably saw it and you're like, I wish I can be like that. So in this current stage, in this state, we're doing the same thing. We're literally looking at other people's lives on social media, and we don't know where they got the mentality to get that life, and we're copying it, and we think that if we live out that life that we're going to be fulfilled. So technically then we create a whole life as a coping mechanism, and we think it's our life. We call it our life, which means we go places like those people. We do things like those people. We like what those people like, but we really don't like them. So by that, I mean we are burdened by the very thing that we are styling our life with the places that we go, the people that we see, the things that we listen to, the foods that we eat, and we call it our lifestyle. Okay? And then, so we are highly influenced by our culture. We are highly influenced by our past. We are highly influenced by the things that were traumatic in our lives. And I'm just here to remind you that your lifestyle does not have to be the way that you styled your life to cope. Your lifestyle can be the way you style your life to thrive. Now, somebody says, what's wrong with coping? I mean, there's a lot of things in this life I should have to cope. So in the psychology world, you hear a lot of things about coping. And the thing about coping is, it's not necessarily you don't get to wholeness by coping. You get to wholeness by healing. All right, so there's a major difference between coping and healing, and I just want people to understand that. So coping is, I do this so that I feel better about not having my life where I want it to be. Healing is, I do this so I feel better and get my life where I want it to be. It's a two different mindset. So what's the difference? One is, I am doing this so that I don't have to face this. Another is, I am facing this, therefore I'm doing this. So one of them is, I am actually in the ignorant trance of ignoring my problems or ignoring the things that I know I ought to change. I'm just ignoring it, but I'm calling it me. I'm calling it, this is just the way I've been. This is just my life. So what we don't want to deal with, we often turn it into an identity. So coping is making your coping mechanism an identity where you don't know the difference between coping and being. And that's a problem. Healing is when you know the difference between coping and being. So somebody says, in order for me to just live without a whole bunch of things in my mind and stress in my body, I gotta have a shot of tequila. Oh, you know what? I gotta have a shot of wine with that. Or I gotta have, and you're like, I've been doing that for how long? Boom, 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 boom. And you're like, ain't nothing wrong with that. That's just the way I've been. You know, it's been like that. So you find ways to what? Justify what you've been doing. And we all do it. We all have a drug. Some of you be like, I don't smoke, I don't drink, but do you eat? Right? But do you feel? But do you get the you up text at night? Right? Do you travel across the country to get some D? Or how much trouble do you go through, brother, to get that punani? All of these things are addiction. Do you watch TV all of the time? Right? Do you watch pornography? So we all find ways to cope. Do you go to the club? Is your strippers your thing? All right? Let's be real. Like, all of these things are coping. Right? These are formats of coping. Sometimes coping can be a smile you have on your face. And instead of healing and speaking the truth and finally revealing those relationships you no longer need around you, you smile at everybody to cope. Like, that's one of the most deadliest forms of coping, is the coping that makes everything feel like it's okay, but it's not really okay. So you go through years and years of coping and putting a persona on that's not really what you're, and then and then you're losing yourself slowly with the persona, with the mask. You're losing yourself slowly. You know what I'm saying? So like, smiling in its own, like, yo, let me put a face on and go to work. For 30 years, you hated the job, and it's been causing cancer in your body, but you put a smile on your face and you go there and you're like, yeah. And somebody says, that's a pleasing attitude. That is a pleasing attitude. But sometimes you need to have some attitude to spread your truth about what you feel about life so that you can have a life change. Look, change does not always happen in comfort. A lot of people think that change happens in comfort. Change sometimes happens in stress situation that's uncomfortable, where you don't feel as if that person might receive what you're saying in an effective way, but it causes a lot of shifts. Okay, so sometimes your coping mechanism is a smile in its own. So I'm talking about, is your lifestyle a coping mechanism, and how you want to see that, and then decide that you're going to live the life that you want. So when you decide this, somebody says, how do I shift from living a life of coping to living a life of healing and creation? You got to shift from coping to healing to co-creation. Now, the reason for that is, we were not meant to cope with the life we don't want. We were meant to create the life that we want. And sometimes what's blocking us from creating a life that you want is some healing, is some mindset change, is some unlearning. I done told you, you've been literally programmed from the beginning of your conception, which means there's so much unlearning you must do in order to heal, right? That's why my book about falling leads to detachment. I like that, iUniverse LLC. You have to let the leaves fall on the wayside. So Switching from coping to unlearning to healing to co-creating. Coping, unlearning, healing to co-creating. So when we cope, we do what we can to feel good about a situation that we don't want. When we cope, we do what we can to ignore a situation that we don't want. We do what we can to stay away from it. When we unlearn, we stop doing what causes the chaos. When we unlearn, we stop thinking in a way that causes the chaos. When we unlearn, we stop being in a way that causes it. And we stop reacting in a way that perpetuates it. So what I mean by that is, some things we can't change, but we suffer it over and over again because it's the way we think about it. Some things, it's not in our ability to change right now. We have not grown to the point where we could change it. But we house it so much in our body that we keep reliving it. In order to relieve what you've been living again, in order to relieve, make light, you have to start to heal and unlearn the ways that you've been being that caused the havoc in your body. So the very thing that you used to cope can be the very thing that's making you sick. So somebody says, I go out every Friday, Saturday, Sunday for happy hour, and that's my coping mechanism. Spending time with friends is beautiful. Ain't nothing wrong with that. We need that. That's healthy. Now, do you need to spend time with friends at the club every weekend and you're getting 30, going on 40, going on 50? Probably not, because your pockets are not liking it, which is not getting you to a financial place that you want. Your liver is not liking it. Your insides are not liking it. And then that causes cascading effect to affect your health. So sometimes the very coping mechanism is what's creating the pain. And to heal, you got to unlearn the coping mechanism to start to adopt a new way of living, adopt a whole holistic lifestyle, a new holistic philosophy. And in adopting that new philosophy, then you're able to transform your life. In adopting a new way of being, then you're able to transform your life. So unlearn, heal, and then co-create. So then you say, what do I want to be? A lot of times, solving a problem with a problem. Yes, and creating more problem on top of it. That's spot on. Bundle with occasion. So what I'm saying with occasion. So what I'm saying is you can't solve a problem with a problem. So shout out to at Bundle Up with Occasion for saying that. You can't solve a problem with a problem. You have to become the solution to the problem. And your lifestyle is how you package up the solution. It's how you deliver the solution. Your routine is also how you then implement it in your life, right? The practices is the different solutions, right? The tools are then in conjunction with those various solutions. So we got holistic tools, holistic practices, holistic routines to create a holistic lifestyle. So you decide what you really want from life. Do you want to live a life of bliss or a life of pain? Do you want to live a life of constant growth, or do you want to keep resuffering the past? Those become your choice. Now, for those of you who's listening to the podcast, this is a podcast, Ed Talks Daily. Moving forward, you're only going to really get 15 to 20 minutes of the podcast. So if you're listening now and you're enjoying it, make sure you go to my website, holisticlifestyletribe.com, and join so that way you can get the full episodes. But thank you all for listening to the podcast. There are live viewers. You can catch the podcast live on Instagram. When it's live, you'll be able to watch it as it is live, but you won't get the replay for the full replay. You have to make sure you're in the community to be able to access that. So make sure you look at below, click the link below, and join the Holistic Lifestyle Tribe so you can get assistance with your holistic lifestyle. So once you start to find the information that will get you information towards the ideal or best version of yourself, then the transformation starts to happen. But transcendence happens when you say, I'm going to act on the information that becomes your transformation. So you can listen to the podcast, you can tap into the live videos, but you have to get in the room. You got to start doing the work. You start detoxing, start fasting, start implementing the rising routine, start doing the movement in the Qigong exercises. I bundled all of that up in the Holistic Lifestyle Tribe. So those of you who are watching now, if you text the word holistic to my number, 561-510-9605, you're going to be added to the text messaging tribe, and you're going to get a whole lot of information on the Holistic Lifestyle Tribe. So every day we got something called Rising Prime. We have the Holistic Rising Routine that starts with mental health check in yourself before you wreck yourself, personal development, some powerful words to get your prime in a positive way, some power healing movements, mindful movement, aka Qigong, mastering your life force energy, and then we close that off with powerful affirmations. That's just the bread, but there's so much more butter all over it. And it's the Rising in Prime is the major routine. However, we got many other things to help you grow, like the Qigong classes, the book club, the detox. Now we have something called Holistic Lifestyle Program that you can transform your lifestyle to live more holistically with some tips and strategies. So make sure y'all go to holisticlifestyletribe.com and join the tribe. Thank y'all for tapping into this episode of Ed Talks Daily. Peace. Alright, so now everybody watching live, you're like, what are you doing? Okay, so moving forward, when you listen back to the podcast, you're not going to get the full episodes. You have to ensure that you are part of the community, and I'm monetizing my content so that way I can build generational legacy for my family and my kids. So, but since you're watching live, I'm going to give you way more than that, right? But then you can't catch the replay. So let's keep on with the subject, what we were talking about, right? I'm going to keep going for another 13 minutes. So what I was speaking of earlier was this. Sometimes we're creating more problems by running away from facing the problem. Okay? We're creating more problems by running away from facing the problem. And by advocating your power to a vice, you're not taking your soul's advice. So when you give away your power to the coping mechanism, you're not taking the power that you have to create the life that you want. So at some point, you have to decide that it's worth it more for me to co-create with the creator than it is for me to destroy with the things that are not serving me. So, quick couple questions I have to ask is, have you been eating yourself into suffering? Have you not been transmuting your emotional state so you're getting emotions stuck in yourself, causing suffering? Have you been procrastinating yourself into suffering? Have you been ignoring the things that you need to face to suffering, right? Have you been staying stagnant to suffering? So the different categories of your life that you know you ought to change. Somebody said, I wanted to start working out 5 years ago. I wanted to be on point with that 3 years ago. And then now you suffer low self-esteem. You suffer lack of energy. You're suffering stress, tightness, depression, and other diseases that may become chronic over time. And instead of saying, I'm finally going to make the decision to start exercising, instead of saying, maybe I'll join the Holistic Lifestyle Tribe and start learning the Qigong so I can learn how to master my life force energy, instead of saying, maybe I'll start to walk and adopt my divine time with nature, instead of saying that, you say, you feel shameful, guilty, tripping, you feel bad about yourself, and you don't actually do the thing that you need to do. So I'm here to remind you, if it's a workout that you need to do, start working out. Start doing it now. If you know you need to do a rising routine to transform your life, stop tripping on that. Start doing it now. If you know you ought to start eating healthier, more raw foods, more juicing, start doing it now. Don't put it off. If you know it's meditation, you need to learn how to breathe more consciously, don't put that aside. Start doing that. So my call to action is action. My call to action to you is for you to take action on what you know you ought to do. My call to action for you is know what you've been ignoring and deal with it. Deal with it now, because once you don't deal with it, it's going to deal with you. And you're not going to like how it deals with you. It'll slap you around. It'll pimp you. Life will pimp you if you don't deal with it. Right? Somebody says, I'm prostituting myself to life, advocating all my power, letting life pimp me around. And then you say, do you want to be in that state? You're like, well, that's my pimp. No, you don't. You don't want to be pimped. You want to live your own life. And you know it. But because you got so comfortable with being pimped, so now you just accepted it. You laid down. You're like they say, the dog that feels helpless. So the dog stays helpless even though they have an opportunity to escape. Right? That was a study. So if you put it's like the elephant that was trained young, and the pole that, I can't move the pole. So when they grow big and they probably could just run with the pole, they don't know that they can. So I want to remind you that you're not stuck to this state. You create your destiny. Right? I was doing this thing with a couple of kids, and we were saying these affirmations. I am not stuck to this place. I create my destiny. I am not stuck to this state. I create my destiny. I am not stuck to this. I create my destiny. Say that over and over and over. Over and over and over. Every day, keep fueling yourself so that you can get the momentum and energy to take action on those categories you know that will transform your life. Right? So you don't have to cope through the life you don't want. You can co-create the life that you do want. You don't have to get stuck to the vice. You can take the advice. That's my message, and I'm sticking to it. That's my message, and I'm sticking to it. It's the Holistic Motivator. Shout out to everybody tapping in here. This is a podcast. Make sure you go to edtalksdaily.com to subscribe, listen to the full episodes, and make sure that if you like it, leave a review. You can send donations to the website. And at the same time, what I invite y'all to do, if you've been tapping into this content for a while and it's been very effective, I empower you to take the next step to your growth and development. That's going to be joining the Holistic Lifestyle Tribe so you can have a community to support you. So Holistic helps support community, right? So that way you can actually start implementing these things daily, putting in a routine that's going to transform your life, doing the seasonal detox, reading these new books, and keeping the philosophy of lifestyle transformation in your ear daily. The way that you do that is by texting Holistic to 561-510-9605. Text tribe to 561-510-9605. You're going to get a link back. But one of the best ways is just go to holisticlifestyletribe.com and you'll be able to sign up for a 3 free-day trial where you're going to get access to the daily Rise and Primes at 7 a.m. Eastern and the recordings, Qigong classes and the recordings, the book club meetings and the recordings, the master classes and the recordings for all the master classes in one place, articles to help you, exercise routines to help you, nutrition guides to help you, detox to help you, and other like-minded people who are healers, seekers, teachers, wellness entrepreneurs to help support you, right? So all of that is inclusive in the Holistic Lifestyle Tribe, just a space that I hold, and it's super, super powerful, transformative, great vibes only. So if you are a wellness entrepreneur and you've been kind of doing this thing on your own, and you can use some daily motivation, inspiration, some tools and resources to help you construct your lifestyle, make sure you go to holisticlifestyletribe.com and sign up for your 3 free 3-day trial to the tribe, and you're gonna get access to a whole lot. In addition to all of that I just spoke of, once you become a member, you get these free 15-minute calls weekly during something I call office hours, which is like coaching calls weekly. You could talk about your brand, we could talk about your lifestyle, we could talk about nutrition, we could talk about mental health, we could talk about things that's happening in your life. All of this is inclusive when you join the Holistic Lifestyle Tribe. So this is very much an exclusive yet inclusive community. It's transformative, it's empowering, and it's needed. So if you're watching or listening and you're interested, comment interested in the chat. If you're ready to join, comment I'm ready to join in the chat. That's my message, and I'm sticking to it. Remember, you have the unlimited power within you to achieve whatever it is that you want, to construct the person that you want to be. But first, you got to believe it in order to achieve it. And I want to give a couple of shout outs before I go. Shout out to Coach McConnor, Jupiter Jules. Shout out to iUniverse LLC. Shout out to you. Peace and love. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace. I'll see y'all in the tribe.